Well, hello and welcome to India Fights Back. Well, this is a show where I get you all that you need to know about the COVID-19 pandemic and how we are fighting it. I'm your host, Rajat Kain. Now, as India launched its universal immunization program, already we have built it as, or rather, it's been built as world's largest vaccination drive that more than 200 people has taken shot on the first day itself. Well, the drive is expected to cover nearly a quarter of India's population in its first phase. But at the same time, there have been some reports of adverse reactions as well, though are on a much smaller numbers than these cases, which has been referred for medical opinion. They've been termed as nothing serious, and of course, authorities are keeping tab it is. So clearly, our vaccination drive, as it goes on in terms of a smooth rollout, what we should look for. Well, to discuss further on this issue, we are joined by a panel of three important guests. Dr. Gupta, he is National Scientific Coordinator, PvPI. Dr. Rana Singh, he is Medical Superintendent, RML Hospital, Delhi, and Dr. Harshvardhan Singh, he is Senior Resident of Community Medicine, RPGMC, Himachal Pradesh. Well, many thanks for joining us. Let me start with you first, Dr. Rana Singh. You underwent vaccination in the first phase of the mass vaccination drive this Saturday. Could you please tell your experience? Could you share your experience for the benefit of our viewers? What is the entire vaccination drive all about? Sir.
You see, I want to answer your question in two parts. First, why did I decide to get myself vaccinated right in the word go? And the reason is that being a healthcare professional, I am fighting with this corona epidemic for last 1 year. And we are seeing how difficult disease it is, how fatal disease it is, and how deadly it is. So, in spite of being in the middle of everything, I have survived over last 1 year of corona. But now I got the opportunity to get myself vaccinated. That means I got the opportunity to prepare my body to develop immunity against this deadly disease.
Right.
And I didn't find any reason why should I wait. So that is why I got the vaccine on day one, so that my body starts, developing immunity against this disease, right at the earliest opportunity. So that is why I got this vaccine on day one. And second, as far as my experience is concerned, I had absolutely no problem. The day I got the vaccine, the next day, and today is the third day, I got it on Saturday. No problem at all.
Right. Many thanks, Dr. Rana Singh, for your opening remarks. We'll certainly come back to you for more as we explore further dimensions of vaccination in the progress of this show. Well, Dr. Harshvardhan Singh from Himachal also joins with us. He's Senior Resident of RPGMC. Many thanks, Dr. Singh, for being with us here. You also underwent a vaccination in the mass immunology program on Saturday. Could you also just share your experience with us before we open the show and include Dr. Gupta as well? So,
yeah, thank you so much. I was one of the first 5 beneficiaries to have the COVID vaccine on the first day itself.
Right.
And as more than 48 hours have passed, and I have not experienced any of the adverse effects that have been reported for this Covishield vaccine which I had. So some of my colleagues, a very handful of them, reported mild fever, but myself, I am perfectly fine till now.
Right. Certainly, that's very good to know. Well, Dr. Gupta, National Scientific Coordinator, PvPI. So, as we talk about the rollout of our mass immunization program, which certainly has been fairly smooth in first 2 days, we are on the third day itself. If we talk of certain reports of the adverse reaction, so to begin with, what will you term adverse reaction, and are these things common for any vaccine? Dr. Gupta.
Important question, and it's very important, essential that all of us should understand what are the possible adverse effect which
Right.
can happen after a vaccine. See, if you take a drug and if you take a vaccine, there could be an adverse event. When you say adverse event, it can be adverse drug reaction or adverse effect due to vaccine. It may be totally unrelated to that because it may be several things which may be there. Now, what I would like to mention that a vaccine, new or old, when introduced into the body, it is expected that in some subjects, some volunteers, or some patients, it may cause following. It may cause pain at the injection site
Okay.
because of the prick. It can cause some more pain because of the drug or the vaccine itself introduced. It may cause some redness at the local site. In some, there can be irritation. In some, there can be minor or some degree of fever, which may not require any intervention, maybe no analgesic. In
Right.
some, there may be some headache, which may go off automatically or just after some time. In some, it may require minor medical management, maybe in antipyretic or analgesic. In rare situation, it may cause allergic reaction, maybe fall in the blood pressure, or maybe rarest of rare, it can cause anaphylactic shock.
Okay. Okay.
Now, how to assess that? See, whenever we look for the animal data, preclinical data, and then you assess the risk versus benefit. And we know that both the vaccines which have been introduced so far in our program, they are very, very safe. I will not use word absolute safe. There nothing is absolute safe in the world, but very, very, very safe. And we know that what are the possible adverse reaction which can happen, and therefore there is a mechanism one to identify that yes, this can happen, and this is how you can identify. And then there is a system by which we do what is called as a causality assessment
Acha.
mechanism. Means you
Okay.
assess the cause because of this. Somebody may die even because he met a road accident. Even that is reported as adverse event after immunization. But this adverse event not necessarily mean that this is because of the vaccine. I'm just giving an example. There may be a person who is suffering from cardiac disease and he dies because of the heart attack, but because he is taking vaccine, this will be reported as an adverse event. So media should be very careful in reporting this as an adverse event, not
Okay.
adverse reaction, not adverse action happened because of the vaccine. And that is what I must tell you very importantly. That is what we do as a national scientific coordination, our coordinator, our entire pharmacovigilance system
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
to train people how to identify the adverse reaction versus adverse event which is unrelated to the investigational or intervention. So that is very important. So there are certain
Right.
things we expect from the vaccine which may happen in some population, in rare population, in very rare situation. And important thing is the management or immediate intervention is possible, and that's why you have all the system in place. So no reason to be afraid of taking vaccine. No, absolutely no reason to be afraid or no reason to be apprehensive.
Right, right. Absolutely. Many thanks, Dr. Vaikom Gupta, for your opening remarks. You are National Coordinator of Pharmacovigilance Program of India, which of course is responsible for training and responding towards a drug safety program. Now, let me go off to Dr. Dr. Rana A.K. Singh, who's Medical Superintendent RML. Sir, as you talked about like how you underwent the mass immunization program, now it also gets important to impart or to educate people about it. And as we have seen that there a bit of concentration is also to allay any apprehension or doubts about the vaccine. So Dr. Rana A.K. Singh, as Dr. Gupta just mentioned, that having adverse effect is fairly common, and it happens with every drug. What are the mechanisms in place at your hospitals? Let's start about educating people or the recipients of vaccine as to what will happen and what they should be careful about.
You see, we have made a very rock solid arrangement at my institute. We get the list of beneficiary from the district office,
Okay.
and simultaneously the beneficiary also gets a SMS on their registered mobile number that they have to at RML Hospital Center for vaccination. So to begin with, when our beneficiary comes, first we make them sit comfortably for a small amount of time, so that that anxiety level or whatever is going on in the mind, that is allayed. That's an automatic process. Then they come to the registration counter where we verify the identity of the person. They'll have to, we see one document for identity verification. Thereafter, we give them the vaccine. Giving the vaccine or vaccination or vaccinator, these words, they sound very, like very big words. But giving vaccine is nothing. It's all about giving an intramuscular injection. जैसे वो हिंदी में बोलते हैं कि मांस में एक इंजेक्शन लगाना है. So it's all about giving an intramuscular injection. Doctors, nurses, we do it day in and day out. It's a very, very simple procedure for us. Once the vaccine is given, then we have got two nurses sitting right there. They will brief the beneficiary after vaccination that, look, you have got the vaccine and the vaccine will generate immunity in your body. But those corona appropriate behaviors which we have been following for last 1 year, we should continue to follow that. And there is not a great deal, like wearing a mask. Wearing a mask, it does not only protect you against corona, it protects you against n number of, like airborne diseases, say tuberculosis, there are many more. So that's a kind of, collateral benefit of using a mask. Hand sanitization, again, a very simple thing. Hand sanitization is nothing but to keep your hands clean. And if you keep your hands clean, it does not give you protection against the corona. It gives you protection against a lot of germs entering into your intestinal tract and causing disease, say cholera, dysentery, typhoid, worm infestation. There is a long list. So if you are using hand sanitization, it protects you against a lot of more diseases apart from corona. And then social distancing is again not a big deal. So we tell them that continue to practice them even after you have been vaccinated. Now we have got observation area where we make the beneficiary to sit for half an hour. In that area, we have got group of nurses and anesthetists. They are literally patrolling in that area like police, so that if somebody has got some problem, they are not dependent on the feedback of the beneficiary telling them that I have this problem, I have that problem. Because we are professionals, so we can, pick up or we can make out that, X person has got some problem. So then we will take preemptive step. In the same area, observation area, we have got a resuscitation arrangement for resuscitation. If some adverse reaction happens, and believe me, if you can, that resuscitation area is practically, I've got everything. It is practically like a one-bed ICU setup. I've got all kind of equipments there to deal with if somebody gets any kind of problem. We have got defibrillator, which is used to start the heart in case it stops. I'm not saying that I was expecting any one of them. I have got a ventilator there. I have got oxygen supply there. I have got a crash cart. Crash cart is a small cart on which all life-saving drugs are stacked, properly labeled, so that if you need them, you don't have to, fiddle out from a bunch of injections that which one. So we have got a crash cart there. We have got anesthetists there. We have got nurses there, fully prepared fully geared up to cope with any, if any adverse effect happens. And
Right.
then this area is very, very close across the corridor with my intensive care unit. As a matter
Mm-hmm.
of fact, I just overstretched my imagination. It was not required. I knew it for sure. But as I said, that if something happens and then I start looking for the facility, that will be not the best thing to do. So I have kept, even a couple of beds reserved in my intensive care unit in case. On Saturday, we could vaccinate 31 people.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, A, that it was a half working day in the hospital. B, that the whole immunization program started a bit late in the daytime. So we could vaccinate 31 people. That includes me also.
Right. Right.
Fortunately, we have had no, adverse event or reaction or anything in whole
Right.
of those
Right.
like 31 people, including me. And
Right.
today
Right,
I have
Dr.
got
A.K. Singh.
feedback that not only on that day, even
Right.
last 3 days, none of them had any problem.
Right, right. Dr. Singh, I'll come back to this. Very important. And as you highlighted, that we must, even after vaccination, follow COVID appropriate behavior, something we also keep appealing to our viewers. Now, Dr. Harshvardhan Singh, I have a very straight question to you. What has been response at your center, at your district, to say of, when it comes to the
Uh,
mass immunization program? Dr. Singh.
as far as the voluntary enrollment is, as we take it, it has been very active participation has been noted among all the health professionals, and it was a very good response.
Right, right, right. Dr. Singh, yeah, if I can just ask you one small question. Even after the vaccination at your center, did you hear of any of the cases or any apprehension? I'm not saying adverse reaction, but any apprehension among people? Like, what were the questions? कि क्या होगा हम vaccine लगा रहे हैं? Was there any sort of thing like that at your center?
Not exactly, but as there was some circulating messages in social media regarding adverse effects of some vaccines. So our team took special care to allay all those fears before any beneficiary enrolled at the center. We had personal one-to-one counseling for every beneficiary on day one, so that all the fears are allayed, which were transmitted through social media. Most of the
Right.
queries were related to social media circulation. Yeah.
Right, right. That's very important. Dr. Harshvardhan Singh from Himachal Pradesh pointing out that many fake messages, many motivated messages are being circulated in the social media domain, whereby they are raising apprehensions. Professor Gupta, I know that you you are a part of that entire team, entire paraphernalia, which is there addressing any apprehension. So, in the past as well, we have had immunization program for polio and smallpox. Fortunately, thankfully, we didn't have social media those days. We didn't have like these actors were trying to create apprehension. So now, since we are in different world altogether, so what is that we should be looking forward towards, like when it comes to this mass immunization program, vis-a-vis educating people and not just recipient, normal janta as well.
I think what you said is very, very correct. The social media, the mass media, the electronic media are good as well as bad. There was a time when there was all vaccine, polio vaccine, and all those vaccines were there. So such type of what you call as a afwah or misleading information or disinformation were less possible. Today, the media can do both. Media can act positively by making people understand what is the possible adverse effect, what is the
Yeah.
rarity of the adverse effect possibility, and how the best, our just now our colleague has mentioned, how strongly we are prepared for that, even for the smallest possible adverse effect which can happen. The entire system is so geared up that even slightest thing, the apprehension should not be there. So the message must go through the media, number one, that no media should involve itself in giving wrong messages to the public, giving apprehension to the public. It is the responsibility of the media, the social media, and responsible citizen to tell the janta, to tell the civilians, the defense, police, leaders, politicians, everybody that both the vaccine which have been introduced in India are very, very safe. The data suggests so. The scientists, the regulators have so thoroughly gone into the literature, and possibility is negligible. They should not have any apprehension कि अभी इसमें और डेटा की जरूरत है वो अलग साथ में चलता रहेगा लेकिन
Right.
considering the possible risk of corona and considering the possible benefit which the immunization program will give, it is beneficial. No system should give anything other than this. And if anything happens, there is a system exists. Rarest of rare possibility that the person may have because of this, there is a risk minimization, risk mitigation. All these systems exist, and therefore, and one must be also clear that अगर हम कहें कि वैक्सीन लगाने से कुछ भी नहीं हो सकता तो वो भी गलत है दर्द होगा कोई कहे चीटी भर का दर्द होगा रेडनेस भी हो सकती है पहले आप देखते होंगे कि जब हम मीजल की जब उसकी वैक्सीन लगाते थे तब बीसीजी की तब दाग बन जाता था बहुत दिन
yes there used to be a big mark.
System has so refined, the adjuvant system is so refined that these adverse effects are very rare. But it is what it can happen sometimes. And there should not be any apprehension. I have got hundreds of calls. Should I get vaccinated? I am having sneezing. Should I get vaccinated? Let these minor query rest aside. If there is any major issue, tell your doctor who is giving vaccination. He will tell you, no, fine, wait for some time. You will not. But don't take any decision yourself and don't be under any apprehension. No apprehension, but rest assured that whatever vaccine in India you are getting, whether A vaccine or B vaccine, they are very, very safe. And if there is any reason not to give you a vaccine, the person who is giving vaccine will take note of it and will take decision thereof.
Right. That's very important, Dr. Gupta. Let me come to you, Dr. Rana A.K. Singh. Now, here I'm seeking a doctorly advice from you, sir. Sir, very briefly, as we are about to end the show, what are the things, the medical things, or to say symptoms one should look post-vaccination to be completely sure of? What is something to be looked out for?
I think Dr. Gupta has already elaborated on that. You can have pain at the injection site. You can have some amount of redness, in that area. You can have some type of myalgia, means, very vague aches and pains in your body. Okay. And, about this reaction, let me also tell you one very important thing at this point of time, that these smaller reactions are surrogate markers of the efficacy of the vaccine. That you have got the vaccine and your body is reacting. Body is reacting means it is going to produce antibody, and probably somebody whose body is reacting, it's a surrogate marker that yes, vaccine is working. And I am sure all of us must have taken the shots for the tetanus vaccine, the Tetvac injection. Yes. Some pain, redness, little bit of fever, next day a bit of headache and body ache. That happens with practically all injectable vaccines. So these are the smaller things we should look at. But and about the reaction, about the allergy, let me tell you that there are people who are allergic to even air. You must have heard about the pollen allergy. Pollen lies in the air, and there are people who are asthmatic. Some of them, they do have the precipitous attack of their asthma because of the pollens. So whose body will react how much to which antigen, that is something nobody can predict. So if there are the reactions or the allergy or whatever, if it is more than what me and Dr. Gupta were just talking about, then as I said, you are there backed by a group of highly skilled doctors, nurses, fully well equipped to cope with this situation if something happens.
Absolutely. So there we have. That brings to the end of this edition of the show. Many thanks, Dr. Gupta from National Scientific Coordinator from PvPI, Dr. Rana A.K. Singh, Medical Superintendent, RML, and Dr. Harshvardhan Singh, Senior Resident, RPGMC from Himachal. Many, many thanks in elucidating this very important issue and, of course, allaying any apprehension whatsoever that exists about the vaccination drive. Well, before we leave, please follow the small, little COVID appropriate behavior. That is what even the experts are talking about. We know mass vaccination has started, but please keep wearing masks, keep washing your hands, and follow COVID appropriate behavior of physical distancing. Well, that's it in this edition of India Fights Back. Keep watching RSTV for more. Thank you and stay safe.